What is up? What is up? Hello, Miss Village. How's it going? It is good to see you. It's been a minute. Got this weird little double screen down here that's lagging behind. All right, I got rid of it. Hello to the first person here. What is going on? So we're gonna be doing this this live a little bit differently, right? We have written in a bunch of questions that are, pretty good, and I figured I'd just sort of answer some of those and give you guys some updates. So yeah, and feel free to write in some stuff here. But what's up, Brendan, Caitlin, DJ, Garrett, Travis Youngblood, Jeremy? What's going on? All right, so yeah, let me dive in. So. Like I said, all right, God's Eye is coming out December 1st. I hope you guys have been enjoying the memes. I've been, skill ranking up in that, trying to get to the journeyman part. I hope you've been liking them. There's more to come. We have sent out an insane number of masks. Again, the coronavirus is still out of control, so I am happy to donate a free mask to anyone that can afford one, or you can just, buy them for $5 on litrpg.com, and all the proceeds go to charity. So thank you for being part of the solution, but I'm happy to help however I can. Let's see what else. For everyone that's asking, Luke Daniels will be recording the Audible for God's Eye. Super excited to be working with him. He's amazing. That'll be in January. And Nick will be recording the Audible for Book 9 in March. I just talked to him. He says, "What's up?" And Book 9 will be coming out sometime early next year. I'm not really sure exactly how the Muse is affecting me, but it's going well, and you guys will be able to enjoy it soon. So yeah. Thank you for the reminder, David. Shout out to all the veterans out there, especially my boy James, who Richter is named after, and his son Alex, who followed in his footsteps in the Marines. But yeah, to all the other veterans, thank you so much for what you do. Appreciate it. And for all the winners in our Veterans Day contest yesterday. What else is going on? All my plushies are still on indefinite hold because of the virus. We have some very, very awesome, cool surprises that are still in the works that I will be announcing hopefully soon. For all of my ARC readers, you guys are appreciated. You will be getting, I think I'm going to be giving you guys the books and snippets as I'm going over it for the 5th time to make sure you get all the mistakes, but you guys will be getting something on Monday. So I hope you appreciate that. So there were a couple trolls on Goodreads that left bad reviews for God's Eye, even though no one's read it. I reached out to Goodreads and they're like, well, just tell your fans to leave good reviews. And I was like, even before it's out? And they're like, yeah, who cares? And I'm like, okay, so if anyone's on Goodreads, please mark the book to be read or want to read. And if you like the prologue that you heard, please say what's up. Shout out to my friend Melissa Douglas, the sweetest, shortest woman in the world. She's amazing. All right. I think those are the main updates that I wanted to give right now. So let me go over some of these questions that you guys have been asking. All right. So how long have you been playing RPGs and what is your favorite RPG? All right. So I've been playing RPGs for my entire life. I came from my family's from, half of my family is from deep South Mississippi, like berry farmers. Like my grandfather didn't see more than one street light because that's the only one in this town. So my mom grew up like not liking that devil worship stuff like D&D and whatever. So it was this like massive struggle to be able to play games and stuff. But then she just kind of got tired of me complaining. So if I had to say what my favorite RPG of all time is, I still say that Temple of Elemental Evil has the best progression, the most awesome crafting stuff, and the radial menu on it is just by far the best thing that I've ever seen as far as user friendliness, GUIs coming out of a game. So again, Temple of Elemental Evil is the greatest RPG ever created back in the day. There's apparently like a grassroots thing so to make it compatible with Windows 10. So you guys can find that on the net. I think it's pretty much free, but it's super fun, and I recommend that you check it out, especially now that processors are progressed enough that when you cast more than 5 spells, the whole game doesn't crash, which is very, very nice. Okay, next question. What made me start writing the land in the first place? It's funny that because some of you guys may have been here from the very beginning with me. Some of you guys may have randomly found me. I get amazing messages all the time saying that I found the first book and then I immediately bought 7 more credits and I went through in a weekend. So I never really know which part of the journey you guys are coming in. So I try not to repeat myself, but I guess there's probably a lot of people that haven't heard this. So for those of you guys who don't know, I am a physician by training. I'm an internal medicine physician. I worked as a hospitalist, which is basically a doctor that works in the hospital. We're not very creative. And I dealt with things like heart attacks, broken bones, pneumonia, strokes, various infections, whatever. So I'm the guy that if you go to the hospital, you're immediately seeing the ER by the ER doctor. If the ER doctor basically say one thing, they say you're not sick, go home, or they say you're sick, and then they call me and they're like, this guy's sick, figure out what's wrong with him. And then I take care of you. I admit you to the hospital. I order the right tests. I figure out what's wrong with you. I make you better, and then I send you home. So I'm the guy that takes care of you while you're in the hospital. So I did that, and I finished. Oh man, I'm horrible at time. I finished my training in 2013, and then I worked for 5 years for Kaiser Permanente here in Atlanta, working nights. And residency, which is right before you finish, is just the worst thing ever. So everything was better. So I basically just partied and kind of like tried to regain sanity for about a year. But then I figured out I wanted something more. So I decided to start writing, never expecting anyone to ever read the book ever. I think when I first found Lit RPG, which made me fall in love, because I never had the idea of combining video games and sci-fi fantasy, there were only like 4 books for sale or maybe 5 in the US. 3 of them were Russian translations, and one of the translations was like barely good enough to qualify for Google Translate. It was absolute garbage. But I still read them incessantly because I was just like fell in love with it the same way you guys did. So I decided, hey, I haven't been creative. I've been stuck in a hole looking at slides and putting my fingers in old dudes' butts for 15 years. Why don't I try to do something creative? Not that that's not creative. You gotta do the thing. But I did it. So I started writing. And surprisingly, I found you guys, right? Like I reached out to 50 different authors. 49 of them said, beat it, kid, don't bother me. But one of them was like, hey, sure, you can, tell some of my fans. And one of the ones that was actually very nice was Vasily Manahenko, who's one of the original Russian authors. I'm sure you guys have read him. Way of the Shaman, just a great author. And then I recognized that there was no social media following. And I wasn't really a social media guy, but I was like, I want Lit RPG to grow. So I created the group, and for about 6 months, it was me and 50 other dudes that would just joke around. That's when one of them gave me the moniker Father American Lit RPG, something that has been way more trouble than it's worth. But it's grown, right? So now instead of like 5 books being for sale, by making the social media, by making it for everyone, by having it be a really cool thing, there's like hundreds of authors that are in it, and you guys are reading all these really amazing stories. And as I grew the group and as I grew the Lit RPG community, I grew my own writing as well. When I first started writing, I was like, how could I ever come up with enough words to fill a book? But after I wrote my first book, I was like, oh my God, how am I ever going to live long enough to fill up all these books of the story that I have? And that's why I was able to write the first 6 books in about 14 months. So that's about a book every 2 months and change. And then the 7th book, as you guys know, is the tome. It's a phone book, 450,000 words, 46 hours on Audible. And then the 8th book, I was transitioning out of medicine. And as you guys know, unfortunately, I had some health issues with my family, which more or less turned out all right. But in those like 2.5 years to now, I wrote these 2 books. I wrote book 8, and wanting to, and this will lead into another question that people have been asking, why did I write God's Eye? I really loved writing, like the land, and I still am really loving writing the land. But in my mind, it's like if I'm really going to devote myself to this craft, and I've been a full-time writer for the last 2 years now, I can't just do one thing. I know that's what you love, and I get it, and nobody really wants to hear all this nonsense or like, gimme, because I'm the same way. Like, where's the next episode of The Mandalorian? But I wanted to branch out. So like, I've been playing with like, a sci-fi adventure. I've been playing with other things that I wanted to do in the land. I really love post-apocalyptic, dystopian kind of things. S.M. Sterling's Dies the Fire is one of the greatest series in my opinion. And so like these are things that I wanted to flex my analytical muscles as well. And I still wanted to do it with Lit RPG because I'm so in love with it. And no one's really done that a lot of the time. So when I wrote God's Eye, of the various, like, I'd say probably like 12 major plots and stories and other sort of like branches that I've been working on. It's because we always see gods that pop in and out of stories, but we never really see it from the god's eye perspective, so to speak. So don't worry, there's other ways that comes in, but yeah, like that. That is basically why I wanted to do it. I always want to do things that other people haven't done. I want to push myself to be more than just what I am, because I feel like I do the land very, very well. Like, we all have that same irreverent stuff where some people are like, how can you laugh at that? And we're like, what the fuck? Why are you not laughing? What's wrong with you? But I want to push myself as a writer. I want to be more tomorrow than I was today. And that's basically what God's Eye is about. And it was painful. Making another magic system like from scratch. That's one of the things that like took a long time, because I didn't want to just make some there's some stories out there where it's like, yeah, it's kind of a lit RPG, yeah, it's kind of a fantasy, but it's really just sort of like, shoehorned in there, and it's not really consistent and whatever else like that. And I really hold myself to that standard. So finding a new system that was as unique as the land, but also makes sense, was not the easiest thing for me. But I feel like I finally pulled it off. It was this like eureka moment, and it comes around the concept of energy, which I hope you guys will love, because it's very fun. So, as my mouth gets dry, I started writing the land because I wanted to find a creative balance for the decade and a half that I devoted to medicine, which is very like hardcore, very analytical. Like, I have to make decisions, I have to decide people's lives, I have to do whatever. And I'm very proud to say that I feel like I did that job very well, but there was more in me than just that. I found that you can't really find meaning of your life in a job, in my opinion. My job as a physician is very important. It was something that I took very seriously, but it wasn't enough for me to fulfill me. So that's why I started writing, and I found an act of creation, which very much saved me, and I found you guys, which was the other amazing bit of it. So that's that's how I did it. All right. So usually I've been seeing a lot of comments, and usually we don't do this Q&A kind of thing. So I hope you're not just writing like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. So I hope that you're enjoying this. And let me answer some more of these questions. All right. So somebody's asking, where did the idea of chaos seeds come from? And that Richter would get his mind and soul to move to the land, not just live there like other RPGs. So, all right, look, I'm not trying to boo-boo on anybody, but, it's like, if you're in a game, like, who gives a shit? Like, oh no, I'm broke. I've been broke. You get over it. You're the only people that are like, killed themselves by being broke, or people that are too rich. Like, the rest of us, like, we've been broke. Like, shit happens. You get a loan, you crack the piggy bank, you figure it out, you get back on it. So for me, it's like, well, what matters? Real life is what matters. So, I always I've definitely gotten into massive arguments with people that have called me an idiot, and I call them closed-minded. But all the science that we have is really based on the things that we've been able to determine within the solar system. Like, we've been able to look at our deep telescopes are able to look at things. But imagine that's not really the same thing as being able to in vivo test things. So what if in other solar systems the natural laws were different? There's no reason to think that they couldn't be. And every time we take a step forward in science, we end up questioning some of the other steps that we have. Now, I believe that it's possible that telepathy is a real thing and it has happened. I do not believe in Miss Cleo. I do believe that it makes sense that aliens exist because the universe is so big. I do not believe they're coming here and anal probing us because, our anuses are just not that interesting, in my opinion. So it's like I always look for the possibility that we could be wrong, and look for the possibility that there's things that we don't have. And I feel like every level of humanity, if we looked at it, we would look at, if we went to ancient Rome, they would look at everyone behind them and be like, oh, look at these fools back in the day that didn't understand things. And we now look at everything else that doesn't understand things. But, even in modern medicine, if you have a broken bone, they fix it with, screws. They still drill holes in the brain. We still use electroshock therapy. And there's people that are yeah, that works. But I feel like if we go in the future and they're like, okay, so there was something wrong with the brain and you shot electricity through it, and that was what you came up with. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm basically just saying there's a lot more that we can, that that we can still learn. And I think that we always have this sort of arrogance as a species that like we've mostly figured it out. And I feel like we were barely scratching the surface. You know, human civilization has been around for 10,000 years. This planet is 4.5 billion years old, and this planet is nothing compared to the age of the cosmos. So no, I feel like there's a bunch more that we have to figure out. So anyway, I started writing, so I had it be in the land because I feel like, why not? Why shouldn't there be some universe or space or other dimension that operates on these principles? And I came up with the idea of chaoses because I read the news. Look at what we do. I mean, read a history book. Oh my God, how did we survive this long? It's insane. It's insane everything that's going on now. I don't want to. I put up the mask thing, being like, hey, I want to give free masks. I did not expect there to be a revolt almost on the page, people wanting to argue about it. I am a doctor. Masks do help. Please wear a mask. Let me just put that plug out there. But it's easy to sort of point around now for people that are like, look at these people. How can you argue about this? But if you go back to 1912 around the Spanish flu and look at the newspaper clippings, people were saying the very same thing. Right? 100 years ago, there was a plague, a pandemic that was everywhere, that was scary. We didn't have nearly the understanding of science, but the complaints were the same. Like, I can't breathe in a mask. It doesn't really work. It's all BS. So it's like, have we really progressed as a species, or are we more or less the same? If we took 10 random people and just put them on an island and didn't teach them anything, it probably would be like the Blue Lagoon. It probably would be like Lord of the Flies. It probably would be like, whatever, because we're only as progressive as the technology and the culture that has expanded our minds, in my opinion. So our base essence is chaos. I mean, it really is just not moving towards order. I feel like human kindness is one of the greatest inventions that we've had, and it's allowed us to exist to this point. When I'm talking about chaos seeds, I'm talking about our lives. So, that's why. Okay. You're making my mouth dry. That's what she said. Okay. Moving forward. Next question. How does an independent author publish without a publisher? Okay. So this is very simple. If you want to learn how to publish as an independent author, go to KDP. Kindle Direct Publishing. Log onto there. It's free. Make your account. Add your banking information or whatever. Go on Fiverr or somewhere else and have someone make you a cover. It doesn't cost very much. Follow the very simple instructions that are like, this is where you upload your cover. This is where you upload your book. You're a published author, period. Now, the trick is connecting with people and writing something people want to read and becoming successful. And that's a much larger kind of conversation. I would basically say that if anybody's really serious about it, be nice to your fans. I'm asked that question whenever I'm giving an interview, and they're like, how did you do this? And I'm like, it's really not complicated. Like, don't be a dick. Like, if somebody's like, hey, I really like your book, be like, I really appreciate you for reading my book, because I couldn't do this without you. Like, you guys are the reason that any of this has been possible, and that's why I'm so appreciative of you. And that's basically how you do it. Okay. All right. I'm going to read this out, and just because, who did you vote for? Okay. So I'm going to say what somebody else, an older author, told me, and why I always keep political stuff off the page. Because whenever you talk about anything political, you piss off half the people that are out there. I feel like anybody that reads my books really kind of gets who I am. So you can follow it from there. All right. One underlying theme of the land is equity. Everyone in the Mist Village has the ability, opportunity, and the support in becoming the best version of themselves, whether it be any side stories around a Mist Villager who develops well beyond that. Yes, so, that's one of the things that I've been working on. Again, it's just me and a laptop and my wonderful, beautiful assistant, Geneva, who keeps me sane and keeps you guys in gifts and swag. It's me and a laptop, so it's like, and I also, like to play games and sleep. So there's like so many stories. Like, I will just get wrapped up in like writing about a story that I haven't even started yet, and realize that, hours have gone by and I've written like, maybe like 10 or, 15 pages of plot that could easily fill up like, 3 or 4 books. And one of the things that I feel like I've progressed as a writer and an author is, finding a balance for myself, right? Like I said, the first 6 books came out in 14 months. Like, that's insane. I'm sorry. I wrote 6 books in 14 months. That's crazy. and then feeling the pressure because you guys love them, and I was so lucky that you love them, that I'm like, okay, well, seven's got to be amazing, and it came out as this massive thing, and it destroyed me. I mean, at 450,000 words, and the consistency with the math and whatever, oh my god, it was insane. It fried me a little bit, and that's why that's one of the reasons that there was such a gap between 7 and 8, and that not that I couldn't do it, but I'm like, I want to write for the next 4 years. And it has to be something that I still love. So I forced myself to be like, Alaron, you're just going to read for like 2 days. You're going to go for a walk. You're going to watch this movie. You're going to reconnect to people that you haven't. And it like made me so fucking nervous. Like I was like climbing out of my skin. I was like, I got it right. But then I calmed it down, and I'm in such a better place now, right? Like I'm in the free spirited and openness of when I was writing, one of just being like, of enjoying the journey, right? And I feel like that's one of the things that I've gotten from a lot of people in the feedback. They're like, I could feel that you were having a good time when you were writing this, right? And I never want it to become, oh, okay, I've got to get this thing out, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of other authors that I talk to that very much feel like that. And I get it. I mean, I get it because I almost fell into that trap myself, but I just don't feel like I would be at my best if I felt like I was forcing something. So I intentionally forced myself to slow it down, to pace it, whatever. And I'm very happy to say that like I'm happy and I'm hopeful and I'm enjoying it, and I'm having a ball of a time, like writing 9 now and puttering with like a couple other stories and God's Eye too. So I hope that you guys will stay on the journey with me. And again, 9 books in 5 years is not so bad. So I appreciate it. All right. Let me see. Have you ever considered co-writing a book with another author? Who are some other fiction authors that you really like and respect? Let me start with the second one. So Brandon Sanderson is someone that I like and respect. He is amazing. He's one of the most prolific authors of all time, in my opinion. And he's just a really awesome guy. I remember the first time that I saw him in person, we were at the same convention. We were at Jordan Con, which is an awesome con here in Atlanta, run by like the coolest people ever. I totally recommend it. Shout out to Thom. And I was waiting outside for him after after he gave a talk to like, like, I don't know, like 800, 1,000 people. And I'm waiting outside. He's not coming out. And I'm like, oh shit, like he's probably gone the other way. And I go in there and he's just standing there, just rapping with like some fans, and just this amazing guy who like is surrounded by all these people that are like dying to talk to him, and he's just laser focused on one person. He's like, oh, tell me more about that. And then when that conversation's done, he goes, and now you, please tell me your name, blah, blah, blah. And he just had this like gravitas and calm and acceptance of like where he was, and didn't make him a dick, and he's just amazing. And we talked, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I touched him way too much. I touched his face. Just like this, just that. I did it. It was really weird. But he was super cool. And then I met him the next day, and I manned up and I was like, yo, so sorry about that, because I totally fangirled out on him. And we've been able to talk a couple times, and he's been very he's the big whale, so like, we don't talk on the reg, but whenever I have, he's very gracious, and he gives me really good advice. And so I think he's amazing. I met Jim Butcher, who, if I had to sum him up, is like 0 fucks given. He just really just doesn't care. It obviously is an amazing author, and I think he's really cool too. Raymond D. Feist is who started me off on my literary journey. I got to talk to him through email. And I was like, this is like, I think my first year. And I'm like, sir, Spell for Chameleon was like the very first book that I read. And I remember it, and it was like torn in the edges because I got it from like a, whatever. And I just said, do you have any advice for me? And I remember him going, dude, I wrote like 30 damn years ago. I have no idea what Twitch star is. Quit bothering me. And it was a magical moment. But it was cool, and like, it's like, we chat every once in a while, and I've been able to talk to Ramin Hobb, who's one of my literary heroes. I've been able to talk to just like, just really, really these amazing people that I grew up reading and writing. And I've saved the very best for last. If there's one author that I'm absolutely in love with, and who I'm very sad that she's gone, it's Octavia Butler. And if you guys have never read her stuff, I am telling you, you are missing out on an adventure and hearing a voice which is as powerful as any of them out there, but definitely has a different flavor on how she approaches stories. So those are just some of them. Like, I've read all the same ones that you have read. I have, geeked out over the same things that you've geeked out about. I am someone who came from the ranks of reading for 25, 30 years and being told by my mother, like, those games will never, amount to anything. And, those books will never amount to anything. And I'm like, ha, it's so vindicating that I'm like, you were wrong at Thanksgiving. So yeah, like that, those are some of the people. But yeah, they're absolutely amazing. And if I had to pick two, again, it would be Brandon Sanderson because of who he is and what he does, and Octavia Butler because of the just amazing light that she has shined on the world. So I totally recommend it. Okay, so what did you find most challenging when writing God's Eye? It was the new magic system, as you guys have seen from the cover, it is a labyrinth world universe, so that is the crossover and the connection to the land. But I didn't want it to just be like the land because it'd be a little boring. Like, it'd be fun. There's going to be other stories that come from the land and are going to tie in. But this is a new world, so how to keep it internally consistent? How to keep it so that there were consequences and a magic system that was accountable to itself, that wasn't just sort of a superfluous or nerfed out way to do things. Excuse me. And again, what it came down to is the energy system, which is almost sort of understated, but was like a bolt of lightning to me at about 2 a.m. And I ran back to my computer and didn't sleep until about 9 a.m. because it just made everything fit perfectly. There's this amazing movie called Stranger Than Fiction with Will Ferrell and Dustin Hoffman. And oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember the name of the amazing actress. She's just a very pained artist. She's a writer. And she comes up with a line that says, like all great writing, it came inexplicably and without warning. And and that resonated with me so hard when I heard that, because it really is that 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. Because I would just go back to various things, and I would research things, and then I would read history books, and then I would watch anime, and then I would just try to figure out anything that would make this work, and I would play old school video games and be like, well, this and doesn't quite work, and then I found something that just really just sort of tied all the different disparate parts of what I wanted to do together, and so. That was it. And again, it's super understated, but it's going to become so huge and integral, and sort of the self-limiting thing that keeps it all real, that keeps the gods grounded to the earth, kind of thing. And I'm really looking for you guys to check it out. Let's see. What did you learn about yourself after crushing that challenge? So I wouldn't say that I've crushed the challenge yet. I would say that I have crushed the first steps of the challenge. And I guess what I would say what I've learned is what I've been reminded. I've always been described as a very confident person, very, very cocky even, I don't know. But I suffer from, like everyone, I suffer from the same doubts and fears and whatever. So it's like, when the third book came out, I said, well, I guess I'm a writer. And then, when 7 came out and it just sort of, crushed like, all of like the rankings and everything like that, I was like, well, I guess I'm a very established writer and people like it. I'm a good writer. But everyone that comes out, it's like, oh man, I really hope that I'm putting myself out in this. And so in a given day, there might be some self-doubt, and it's like, well, oh my God, are they going to like this? Is this going to be good enough? And blah, blah, blah. What do I do? And da-da. And there's other days where it's like, keep it cool. You did your best. That's how we roll. And that's what I try to be in more than anything else. And I am very I know that I gave everything that I had to this book, and I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. I really do. But there's always that little niggling, kind of voice back there, that pops up sometimes. But yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, this is just, it's a reminder that this is something that I do. This is who I am. This is how I roll. And, again, I hope that what I've created resonates with you. I hope that it makes this dumpster fire of a year pass a little bit faster. So those are the main questions that it seems like were up. Let me see if there were any more that were on here that I was supposed to answer. And let me give some shout outs. Let me share. Yes, Octavia Butler is a genius, Evander. I agree. Yes, so Josh Self, yeah, Brent Weeks, obviously. I met him, very nice guy. He's really great works as well. Only wasn't mentioned because there are, hundreds of other authors that I've mentioned. And since we're speaking about it, rest in peace, Terry Goodkind, who taught me a lot about life through his books. It was absolutely amazing. So yeah. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else that I can answer on here for you guys, or if I'll just let you go. Um, okay, so somebody said, "How do you avoid shrapnel popcorn?" Somebody asked me if I'll be absorbing Rhythm of War. No, I will be checking that out later. Um, So somebody asked me, in earlier books, Richter finds items that he later comes to use in later books. How far do you plan ahead? So a little bit of both. So there's a question, there's a basic like a parlance that people that in the writing community use. Like, are you a pantser or a plotter? Meaning, like, do you live by the seat of your pants when you write, or are you just somebody that plots everything out all the time? And I'd say that I'm in the middle. I wrote the ending of The Land before I wrote the first book because I didn't want to, as I often say, be like a certain sea captain-y looking gentleman who, wrote an amazing character named Khaleesi, but won't give any more clues than that. But I also have left it open and allowed myself to change everything that I'd written before if I feel like the story is leading me in that way. So the easiest way I can say it is that I always have this plan to go from point A to point B to point C, but I often find that the journey is more like this, and then I do get to B, and then the journey's like this, and then I might get like a little bit to the side of C, which will change other things. And for me, it's more important that it feels true, that it feels real, that it feels, like it's something that's really coming across than anything else. So that's how I do it. Bum, bum, bum. All right. All right. Most of these are spoilers. Somebody's asking for the perfect margarita recipe as if. Most of these are spoilers. These are all spoiler questions. Yeah, okay, those are all spoiler questions. You guys know better. All right, so I feel like the energy that I have thrown out into this has exhausted me. Anyway, so let me just give some updates and tell you how much I appreciate you. So again, God's Eye is coming out on December 1st. It's up for pre-order. I've almost lost my voice. I hope you guys will enjoy it. Luke Daniels, the amazing narrator, will be recording it in January. Book 9 will be coming out sometime early next year. Nick will be recording Book 9 audio in March. We have a couple of really, really amazing surprises that are going to be coming your way as well. And again, please be safe. The world is a little crazy. I'm happy to send a free mask to anyone that needs it. We've even been able to figure out how to do it internationally, and it doesn't break the bank. So please let us know if we can help, or you can buy them on the site and all the money goes to charity. We're also giving away the very cool free window clingies. We've sent out like thousands of those, and we're happy to send out some more. And yeah, all that. So you guys are what kind of keep me sane, and I hope that I can do a little bit of that for you as well. I never expected to be able to find a community of people that resonate and, are just sort of joyous and want the same things. Basically just like to live in a world that, accepts us and it gets a little bit better every day, and we can find a way to do that. So thank you. Thank you for being part of the solution as always. So I'm going to head out. I'm going to get back to work. But as always, peace, love, and the perfect margarita. All right. Bye.